Jixie here for another Jixie Diary. Hej fyre, og velkommen til den anden Jixie Diary. Last time that I did this video, I released a video. I did a kind of a rant about kind of my struggles with video games. And because of that, and because I got some really great support, just like from, a lot of you on Twitter and Jinx mostly, I kind of thought it would be really cool to kind of make this a thing where I actually review games from the point of view of a partially sighted gamer. But yeah, basically I'm not going to go like really in depth about it. I'm just going to talk about the things that I liked about the game and the things that I didn't like about the game. And this time I want to talk about, okay, so this is the game. It's called The Unicorn Princess, and so I'm going to review this today. Basically I bought this because I was remembering kind of the old style games that I used to play on PS2. PS2 is my absolute favourite gaming platform, even though many people have said that PS4 is more accessible than PS2, but I feel like with PS4 games, it's kind of, well, PS2 games would tend to be, because the effects, the graphics weren't terribly good, it kind of meant that they had to be more cartoony in their style, and so a lot of things were kind of easier to see. Now, PS3 was a bit more difficult, but PS4 I really struggle with, because, I feel like many games put more emphasis on visuals rather than, rather than anything else, I suppose, because gaming is a visual thing. It's hard sometimes, when you're partially decided to try and keep up in a on a sort of medium that is very visual based. There are games that are catered to blind and partially sighted people, but they're more like audio games or text adventures. And so you don't really get the same, maybe you do with audio games, I've never really played one, but with text adventures you don't really get the same immersion that you do with visual games. And so, I do like visual games. And we have two guests. I just want to point out that we have two guests here. We have my Coco, hello, and my Chloe. Right, okay, alright, calm down. I know, I love you too. I love you too. I love you both so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mwah. Love you. Right, lie down. Come on, lie down. Good boy. Lie down. Stay. Anyway, so this game, Unicorn Princess, I bought because I thought, one of the types of games that I used to really love on PS2 were horse riding games, like the Barbie Horse Adventure Wild Horse Rescue, which I really, I enjoyed playing, and Pippa Funnel games as well. There was one Pippa Funnel game where you kind of have a ranch, and you breed horses, and you kind of go to steeplechases, and what are they called, cross country, and there was another one, dressage. And you go kind of around the world a bit, and I think Germany and I know definitely Germany. I can't remember any of the other places. But you found at one point a wild horse, or I don't know. Anyway, it was a really good game. If you played that game, please let me know about that, because I would kind of like to kind of chat about that, actually. It was a good game. It was a very good game. Even though it was frustrating at times, it was really frustrating at times. It was, I really enjoyed it. Everything was kind of easy to see. You know, the jumps, you know, you could see the jumps quite far ahead, and so it was just really, really easy to see. It was really kind of, I did struggle sometimes with like not seeing jumps before they came, but that was like rare. Anyway, but I bought this thinking it would be kind of like that, but with unicorns. I mean, you know, sounds perfect, right? Now, it is kind of a bit like that, but there are a few problems with it. Well, okay, the first thing that I really noticed, and the first thing that I really saw about this game that I really didn't like, is the graphics of, like, the character design. The main girl in it, she's called Leia, and she is not this girl depicted on here. I have to say to you, I haven't yet completed this game. I am on the last task, and I'll explain about the task in a second, but I did not complete this game yet, because I'm afraid I've rather lost my patience with it. But so far, the girl that I'm seeing is not the girl on this. If she becomes that at some point in the future, I don't know about it. Actually, also, the unicorn is not like that. Actually, the unicorn has got rainbow hair in the game, which is weird. So, false advertising? I don't know. But anyway, the character design, the girl is not pretty. None of the other characters are at all, like, pretty to look at. Now, I'm not saying that it's a crime to be ugly. I mean, I'm no fruit bowl myself. But, you know, I do like sort of, you know, kind of pretty, like, characters. I don't solely play games with pretty characters, but I like it. It's kind of nice. And so, I did kind of try to get past it, even though she had really, really ugly hair. The clothes in the game are mediocre, kind of boring. The most interesting top that she had was one with a unicorn on it. Cliche, but you know that's the way that it is. And the other characters are just really not much to look at, really. Looking past that, though, the second thing that really kind of struck me as being something that I really didn't like, I think I'm going to talk about the things that I disliked first, and then talk about the things that I liked, because there are many more dislikes than likes, unfortunately. The second thing that I disliked is the way that some of the characters, Leia and some of the characters around the village, the way that they talked. Oh, baby. Hang on, sorry, he's got a rumbly belly. Oh, I can hear your belly rumbling all the way from here. Yes, I can. The second thing that I really didn't like is the kind of how robotic the characters talked. The way they spoke was kind of like, "Oh, hello, Dex. How are you today? Oh, hello, Leia. Could you do me a favor? Jake has lost his horse. Could you go down to the river and find it for him? Thanks, that'd be really sweet of you." "Of course I will, Dex. Let me go now." And it was just really robotic, not natural at all. And I don't know. I mean, it's probably the acting. I don't think it's direction. I don't think any director worth his salt would actually kind of tell them to speak like that unless they're actually trying to be robots, which it doesn't seem that they are. So the character design and the voice actors themselves, with the exception actually of the unicorn, the titular unicorn in this, who is imaginatively named Unica. The most unimaginative name of a unicorn I could possibly imagine. Unica. It's basically unicorn, but with an A instead of an on. Unica. The voice actress who did Unica was good. She was good. Even though when you come out after, you're supposed to help a human, and only then can the unicorn come to you. So if you help a human, then the unicorn will call out to you. You trot or gallop or whatever to the spot that she's calling from. You get on her back, and then you go off to the dream world. I'll explain all about the dream world. There's a whole ton of stuff wrong with that. Woo! But yeah, when she calls you, it's creepy. It's like, Leia, Leia. And it's like, it gives me the creeps, honestly. I get like shiver down my spine every time she starts calling. To the point where I literally like have to tiptoe out of the house because it activates when she walks out of the house after having helped a human. Basically, the idea is she comes back from the last adventure she had with the unicorn, and then she has to go home, and then she goes in, like gallops up in front of the house, and then it like cuts to her being in her room, so you can change her clothes if you want to, and you can change the colour of her hair, even if you can't change the hairstyle, or at least as yet. And then she, from her room, she has to go outside the house, and then as soon as she gets out of the house and she's walking towards a horse, Leia, Leia, and I have to tiptoe out of the house, and like with this like kind of dread looming over me because it really does creep me out, and it starts, and it's like it makes me jump a little bit, to be honest. Despite that, yeah, the voice actress who does Unica is not awful. Let's talk about the dream world, okay? So the idea is that you're supposed to help the guardian, you're supposed to help the unicorn without giving too many spoilers away, I suppose, in case you do want to play this. You know, since probably many of the people watching this don't have the same sight constraints that I do. You know, you might want to play this yourself. And, if you do, I don't want to give this away. Also, I've noticed one thing, just to kind of like stray away from what I was talking about. I was looking at walkthroughs of this on YouTube, and a lot of the walkthroughs were done by guys. I did not expect that. Now, I'm not one that I'm strictly adhering to gender roles, and only girls can play this. But it's just that I didn't expect that there wouldn't be a single walkthrough by a girl that I saw. All of them that I saw were done by guys. I know that most guys, I know there was a lot of thing with My Little Pony with the whole brony situation. But I just didn't expect that. Anyway, so the dream world. It's called the dream world. It's not a dream world at all. It's kind of like some sort of like purgatory hell thing. I was expecting it to be really beautiful. It's called the dream world for a reason, right? It's supposed to be like a dream, like a utopia. But it's not. The sky, I think I've actually taken some pictures of the dream world. And so I will put them actually here. The sky is like yellow, and even though the pictures obviously can't show it, the grass that is there, it's basically the same map as the real world, only with some differences. In that the village has changed. It's like kind of more themed like a medieval thing. So the village has been what was a kind of a nice kind of like Midwestern American style village is now a medieval, kind of almost like a medieval European village for some reason. And the chapel, which stood to the north of the village, that's gone. And there's like a campsite. There's like two campsites. There's a smaller one and then there's a bigger one. And it's got like, instead of like some of the buildings that you see in the real world, it's got like homesteads. But the thing is, so it's the same map, and that's like, that's fine, I suppose, that's fair. But why is the sky yellow? It's not like a sunset yellow, it's kind of like a kind of ninth circle of hell, kind of like just weird kind of And the grass is the most frustrating part of the whole dream world because it moves on its own and it doesn't like wave. Like I think that's what they were kind of aiming for, that it kind of waves and bends in a kind of a dreamlike way, but instead all it makes you think of is like it's kind of like it's just bad graphics because it doesn't look like it's supposed to be like, it doesn't look dreamlike. It looks like it's kind of like well, my PA who helped me with some of the quests on this just said that it basically like knocked her sick because it was that like nauseatingly, it just moved. And the thing is, what I really struggled with is that you had to find things in the dream world, and those things that you had to find, well, you're supposed to find in one quest. You're supposed to find helmets. Then you're supposed to find shields, and then you're supposed to find swords. Now I didn't have any trouble. I had a little bit of trouble, like to the point where it was challenging, but not to the point where it was really frustrating and I couldn't do it. I found the helmets and I found the shields, but the swords was where it got really difficult because obviously swords are usually straight, and so it was not like a. I've explained my site to many people in that I kind of, to me it looks like a bit of a blob world kind of thing, like where everything's kind of like looks a bit like a lava lamp. You know, it's the best I can do with an explanation, I'm sorry. But, you know, like to me, I can't see straight things very well. And so, because the sword was straight, and because it was also moving, and it was kind of on a background which was also moving because the grass was moving in this horrible way, it was just really, really hard to see, and it was really frustrating, and that's why ultimately I've kind of given up for a while, because then you do the quest with the shields, and then the quest with the helmets, and then the quest with the swords, and then Yunica comes and she says, "Thank God, you know, you're gonna help me with the final quest." I'm like, "Yes, final quest! You know, we're gonna, you know, I'll have completed this game." I was so excited because, as I pointed out in the last video, so rare for me to finish a game. I was so excited. And so I was like, "Yes, final!" And she's like, "Right, go over to the Guardian and deliver the things that you've collected." And so I trot over to the Guardian, and then she's like, "Oh no! Where is its sword? Where is its shield? Where is its helmet? He's lost everything. Now you have to find them all over again." But now there's usually in the separate quests, there were search areas that were highlighted in orange, so you knew if you went out, you know, it was in a certain area. But then when she said that about how, you know, oh, you know, now you have to find them all over again, you had to find the sword, the shield, and the helmet, but there were no search areas. She just said it could be anywhere in the whole map, which is quite big. It's not like Grand Theft Auto big, by any stretch of the imagination. It's more like Vice City big, but, you know, which is small. But considering that these could be anywhere on the map, anywhere, and I had trouble finding the swords before when it was in a search area, I'm afraid that I rather lost my patience with it. I turned it off and I have not played it since. I'm not really one to give up because I really do want to complete this game. I do want to complete this game. I do. Let's talk about the things that I like about this game. I might remember things in the future that I actually dislike, but I think that I've kind of got to the end of the things that I really, really vastly dislike. I think that now we'll go on to like things that I like. I like the village, the Midwestern kind of like, you know, real world village. I like the real world in this. I hate the dream world, as I've already pointed out, but I like the real world. I like the graphics on this, of like the kind of like environmental graphics. The way that the water is, it's really realistic looking. I love the waterfall, it's very pretty. I love the horses. I love, I love that you can change the colour of their bridles and the saddles. The only thing that I did actually, I think I have a picture of this, and I'll put it here, that when she's, sometimes, occasionally, especially if you get the horse to rear up while she's in the saddle, her butt will kind of slip back in the saddle, so it looks like her bum is hanging off the edge of the horse, off the back of the horse. It's a glitch. It's hilarious because it basically looks like she's kind of like only like sat with like half of her like whole body is hanging off the back of the horse, but she's still somehow able to ride it. I really, you know what I would love to do at some point is do like a sort of a top 10 thing with my favorite video game glitches. If you'd be interested in that, please like this video so I know that you would love to see that. Yeah, so anyway, that was hilarious. But yeah, I did like the environmental graphics. I would really like to know, because sort of some of the backstory of the dream world. I suppose you do find out, which is why I want to find out. There are things that I do want to find out. I want to find out if Leia is the unicorn princess, or if Unica is the princess of the unicorns. Like, is Leia kind of like the princess guardian of the unicorns, or is Unica the princess of the unicorns? Who, in this scenario, is the unicorn princess? I assume that you're supposed to be, but I don't want to assume. I want to find out. I want to find out why the campsite has like 4 different sets of colours. Like one set of tents in the campsite is black and white. One's green and yellow. One's red and yellow, and one's black and yellow, or there's like 4 different sets of colours of tents, and they each have like a symbol, and I want to find out what's that about. If they're different clans, why are they all camped together? If they are the same, then why do they have different, if they, like, are they families of like a tribe? What's going on with that? Why? It's the backstory of this really intrigues me. Unica says to Leia that the reason why she chooses, or is it Leia or is it Layla? I think it might be Layla actually. Why am I saying Leia? I think it's Layla. Yeah. So sorry, I got confused then. Layla. Unica says to Layla that I chose you because you have a helpful spirit or something, and I'm thinking, is there more to it? This is the problem when you don't finish a game. There's so many questions, and I think it's a good thing that there are these questions. I think it would be a bad thing though if they don't answer these questions, because it would be just really bad writing. I do have questions, and that's what's making me want to continue playing it. And I probably will, and I'll let you know how that goes if I do actually end up finishing the game. I really, 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 I want to finish it. I think I just lost the plot of it when I was told to find all of the things that I had already spent so much time and effort finding, and I have to now find them all over again, and not even, and now it's even harder because there's no search areas. I just lost the plot. But I do want to keep on playing it. I'm not giving up just yet. I gave up on Bee Simulator, but this is not going to be like, I hope it's not going to be like that. I also want to find out about Layla herself. She lives in a house that's got a stables attached, but she seems to be in her late teens, I would guess, and she doesn't seem to live with anybody. She lives in a big house. Like, her room is not the only bedroom in the house. There seems to be at least 2 more bedrooms. But we don't see anyone that she's actually related to. We don't see an uncle, or a father, or a brother, or any sort of thing like that. Who does she live with? Who's her family? Who's her backstory? The fact that we don't, we don't have any idea about this. Is it bad writing? Are we going to find out? I don't know. I do like the horses in it. There's some lovely horses. Right now, the horses that I've got one black horse that I called Nuka, and a white horse that I called Jasmine. And I really want the sandy coloured one that I saw as well. There's a whole bunch of ones that you can choose. And oh yeah, for helping humans and for helping Unica, you get money. Now, I've not really had much cause to spend it yet because I literally just, there's about half of the outfits that I like and the other half of them are kind of really ugly. And without any sort of, nice hairstyles to spend money on as well, there's not really much that there's only, the sandy horse that I really want as well, and the rest of them are kind of really a bit ugly as well, in my opinion, but you may not think that. That's it, just horses, bridles, saddles, and then clothes and hairstyles. Those are the only things that you can really buy as yet. There was one task that I really did enjoy where you're supposed to take soda bottles to some tourists that were up at the waterfall. And, you have to hitch a carriage to your horse. And you sort of take them all up to the waterfall. And then when you get there, you get some soda bottles, empty soda bottles to take back. And what I love is that they kind of really underestimate the intelligence of the people playing it. Because she says she gets back to the person who gave her the soda bottles in the begin with. She gets back with the empty soda bottles, and she says, "Right, I did that, and I brought some empty soda bottles back. I guess they're from the last time." And it made me chortle because I kept thinking, well, I don't think that the tourists would have drank them straight away so that they could give her, obviously they are from last time, because I don't think the tourists would have drunk all of those soda bottles. There was like a big, like crate of soda bottles. So depending on how many tourists there are, I would imagine that the tourists wouldn't have drunk all the soda bottles like right then and then handed them straight back. So obviously they were from last time. It made me chortle that they kind of really underestimated the intelligence of whoever is playing it. Oh, another thing that I actually really struggled with as well is that there isn't a cursor. When you're one of the first tasks that you have to do is to groom your horse. And it talks about how there's like a heart and there's like a pink heart in it, and if the heart is pink, then it's like the horse is content, and if the heart is clear, then the horse is not content. And to make it content again, you have to groom it. It took me a long time to figure out, because it has like the options of things that you can do: brush it, wash it, and then pick the hooves. Picking the hooves is actually a little bit therapeutic. Anyway, but I was kind of jiggling the left joystick around, trying to see if there was a cursor so you could select it, and it didn't give an outline of what controls to use. That I saw, at least. I could be wrong, but from what I saw, it didn't give an outline of what controls you were supposed to use to select the different areas, and took a lot of trial and error in pressing of buttons for me to realise that I think it's the L1 and R1 buttons to move along the options. But I think it would have been a lot easier to have a cursor when it came to that, because it's it or at least to kind of outline, when the grooming like sort of screen is loading, to kind of say press these buttons to navigate, but they didn't do that. So actually, to be honest, I did have a bit of a I did get a little irate trying to figure that out. It wasn't obvious. They don't make anything in it really obvious. One of the tasks that I did enjoy, I've not talked about the tasks that much, apart from just talk about the shield and the sword and another of the tasks that you're supposed to do is kind of go like through a kind of steeplechase affair, where you go through like gates and then you have to collect rings, and that reminded me a lot of the whole Pippa Funnel game that I used to play, and it was good. It was actually a really good one, and it was challenging, but not the last one where you had to collect the gold rings. That actually was challenging, and it took me like 2 or 3 tries. Now, I don't mind having to try like once or twice or 3 times, but it's when it becomes like, if I feel like I'm close to getting to the end, or like about halfway through. But like in the bee simulator, when you were supposed to go through the rings to try and follow the bee, I wasn't even getting remotely close, and I felt like it was very much like I was at a disadvantage. Whereas this, I felt like it was just a thing that I just needed to practice on. There's a difference between doing a quest or a task that is impossible for me to do site-wise, and then, and doing a task that is kind of hard, but if you practice enough, you can do it. There's a difference to that, and I suppose it might be a fine line, but I did manage it after a couple of goes. As frustrating as it was, and I did kind of scream at the screen a little bit. I was like, "Come on, you stupid horse, come on!" But I did do it in the end, and it wasn't really, even though it did have, it was kind of, it did, my side did put me at a bit of a disadvantage with it. I was able to get through it with practice, and so that was okay. So yeah, I feel like it's a fine line, I suppose, to juggle, but I did. Ultimately, I did do okay, and it was just this last task where you basically, I could not find the swords for love nor money, and I had to get my PA to come in and sort of like help me find them, because it was disorienting for the grass to be moving, and then the swords to be kind of spinning, and on a moving background, and it be straight, and you keep looking at every single straight thing that you see, and it could be like a blade of grass, or some trees, or a fence post, anything straight you see. For me, it looked like a sword, and I was, galloping over to something, thinking it was the sword, and then realizing it was a fence post, because the grass was moving around it, so I couldn't tell from between the background and the actual object itself. So that, really, one thing that really bugs me about, like, anything that's supposed to be, whether it be game or TV show or film, that's supposed to be set in another world, it bugs me if that world that they create is not a world that I consider to be beautiful. Because, you're supposed to root for, a lot of things that I watch, like Barbie, or like, kind of Narnia, I love Narnia, the films, I love, the books and everything. And this, assuming she becomes princess of this world, which I have a feeling that she's going to, if you're playing a character, or if you're watching a character and rooting for a character, there's going to be the princess of this world that they're kind of being taken to. If the world's not a world that you really want to be part of, that you really find to be like kind of a better alternative to the world you came from, you don't root for the character as much, because I actually kind of felt like it was kind of I was more happy to return to the real world than I was to go to the dream world. And that's not the sort of, like, I don't want to sort of root for a character, that has to, like, it should be exciting that, I get to go to the dream world again, and the way that, it was kind of written, where Unica says, "Oh, great, Layla! I'm so glad that you want to help me with another task." And Layla was like, "Oh, Unica, I get to go to the dream world again! Yay! I'm so glad you came back." But then when you go to the world, and the world it looks horrible, and it kind of messes with your eyes, and it's really hard to do the tasks. You can't get into it. You can't share the character's excitement. I feel like they could have kind of done better with the dream world. Let me know if you agree with me about that. If you find it doesn't matter what the dream world looks like or what the other world looks like. I mean, we all know that Narnia is gorgeous, okay? Especially compared to London, which is where the Pevensie children in that story come from. They come from London. It's sort of World War II and post-World War II. It's gritty, it's dangerous, and then they get sort of like magicked into this place. And at first, obviously, it's white, and it's snowy, and it's beautiful, and there are fauns, and there are nymphs, and there are all these amazing magical creatures, and you want them to be there. You are excited that they're exploring space, and you want to explore it too. I did not like talking about Barbie. This is supposed to be a game review, but I will just talk about it for a second. Barbie and the Secret Door, because she goes into the through the secret door into this new world, and it's kind of like this garish, bright, kind of like place that I don't like, and so I couldn't really kind of root for the character, because I just felt like, well, the thing is, I think the trick for me is that I like this world. I think this world is beautiful in parts, in places. Where I live is quite beautiful. There are parts of the world that I've been to that are beautiful. And so for me, this world is beautiful, depending on where you live and the time that you live in, I suppose, in the case of Narnia. So when you have a dream world that you're creating, and I found this obviously when I was writing my book, Mori, if you're going to create a world that is kind of a place that you want to really imagine, that you really want to be, it has to be something that's either different in the way that's kind of, I don't know, like it I think it has to be like a heightened beauty, or somehow like a different beauty, but not in a like a really garish way. This is really kind of really technical now. But yeah, I feel like so many people when they create dream worlds, they try and change the colour scheme of the world that we've got. Like in the Secret Door, they made the grass turquoise. And then in this dream world, in the Unicorn Princess, they made the sky yellow, and they made the grass move in this really disorienting way. What's wrong with the blue sky? What's wrong with green grass? You know, like maybe like in a dream world, make it with like more flowers, more trees, you know, like more animals, like different animals. That what I really love is Yonder. This the game that I really love that I actually want to play right now. It's making me feel like I want to. Their world, it's a different world to ours, but they make it very. It's it's different, but and there are things that are obviously like kind of different from our own world, but it's beautiful. It's a realistic kind of beautiful. There are different animals. There are these little animals called Groffles, which kind of look a bit like buffalo but hairy, and they're cute. And so yeah, no, utter failure when it came to the dream world. I didn't feel very dreamlike in it. I was like, oh my god, I don't want to go to the dream world again. I said to my PA actually at the time, when I was feeling so frustrated with trying to find these swords, I said, it teaches you a good lesson in that helping people means that you have to follow some unicorn into a hell dimension where you have to find something that's really, really hard to find. Maybe you should just kind of be selfish and not help anybody. And even though I didn't mean it at the time, I didn't really mean it. I actually did mean it at the time, but I don't really mean it now. Like it's obviously helping people is a good thing. Hello. Hi. God, I love that dog. Anyway, so helping people is a good thing. Just make sure that if a unicorn finds you and takes you to the dream world, that if you don't like the dream world that it's taking you to, don't help anyone again, because then you're going to be forced into kind of helping out against your will. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So anyway, guys, that was my sort of vague review of this game. Had some good points. It did remind me actually a lot of Pippa Funnel, and also a bit of Barbie Wild Horse Rescue. Graphics were better than the whole Barbie Wild Horse Rescue thing. The graphics were not better than Pippa Funnel's horse game that I played, where she has a ranch. Although Oh, I do actually miss that game. Even the quest where you have to chase the chickens, which I really, really hated doing because I always missed one. Anyway, but that's it really. I mean, and I guess I'm gonna say, to you Danish people, farvel, and to you English people, I will say to you, pace.
When the